everybody. Okay, so this is going to be the last of the 3 macronutrients that we're going to go over. We're just doing like the very basics of the diet. So if you didn't catch the first couple lives, the first one was just like Diet 101. It just went over all the basic things. And then we went over carbohydrates in one, and then we also went over protein in the other, and today we're going to be talking about fat. So those are the 3 macronutrients, which are like the major nutrients: carbohydrates, protein, and fat. So we're going to break each down, just tell you what they are, what they do in the body, and how much you should be consuming, because that is the real question, right? Okay, so let's see. A fat is a lipid, okay, and fat is, it's not a bad thing. Fats are good. Everything serves a purpose in the body, so that's the thing. There's no bad guy. It's just everything needs to be in moderation. It's not like fat's bad, carbs are bad, protein's bad, or this one's good. They all serve different purposes in the body, so that's why it's important to eat a variety of all 3, okay? Fats are an energy-dense molecule, and it provides 9 calories per gram, whereas carbohydrates and protein only provide 4 calories per gram, so it is calorie-dense compared to the other 2 macronutrients. There's 2 types. There's going to be, well, actually there's a couple types, I'm sorry. There's going to be saturated fats, which we want to keep less than 10% of our consumption should come from saturated fats. That's going to be in animal products, and they are solid at room temperature. Some of the saturated fats will be like red meat, butter, stuff like that. So saturated fats, they are important. They do serve certain roles in the body. A high intake, however, though, like I said, everything's good in moderation. A high intake of saturated fats can raise your LDL cholesterol, which is the bad cholesterol. So that is something to think about, and that's one reason that we do want to limit our saturated fats, okay? And then we go into unsaturated fats, which will be liquid at room temperature, not solid. And that'll go into like olive oils, avocados, nuts, peanuts, stuff like that. Of the unsaturated fats, there's mono, and then there's poly, okay? So mono is going to be just a smaller particle or arrangement of particles. In the mono, we're going to have like olive oil and the avocados and nuts. And in the poly unsaturated fats, it's going to be like fatty fish and flaxseed. Fish is very important. If you do like fish, it's a healthy option for supper, something easy to eat with veggies and low-cal, and it has a lot of health benefits as well. So it's very important. If you do like fish, good. If not, find an alternative to get some of your polyunsaturated fats. And then there's a third fat, which is artificially made. That one you want to try to stay away from. It's man-made. Anything not natural from the body is not what our body wants. So trans fats, like I said, they're artificially made through hydrogenation, and it's best to avoid them because they can contribute to heart disease. Hi everybody, thank you for joining. We're going over diet, and this is the macronutrients. We already went over protein and carbohydrates in prior lives, so if it's something you're interested in, we're just trying to understand the diet as a whole so we can implement it and do better in our daily lives. So that's kind of the point here. So we're just going over the basics right now. And then the 4th type of fat will be cholesterol. It's a fat-like substance that is in animal-based foods, and cholesterol is good in moderation. Like I said, everything in moderation. The medical field is starting to debate how much cholesterol we actually need. I find the recommendation is a little low, but that's just my personal opinion. Definitely always go and do your research when it comes to that. Okay, and then the functions of fat. Okay, it's an energy source. So it's a very dense energy source. Like I said, it provides 9 calories per gram. So any extra fat that you eat over your daily recommended intake will store on your body as fat for energy source for later on, if necessary. Some of the things that fat does, just to tell you like why everything's important and why not to eliminate just one thing. It's a good energy source. It helps with nutrition absorption, cell structure. It aids in keeping your cell structure strong. Hormone production, which is another reason why I think maybe cholesterol is just a bit low for older people, because they do have hormone imbalances. And then it protects the organs and the brain. So, like I said, you wouldn't believe all the different things that the macronutrients and the micronutrients do to the body. After I get complete with these 3, the carbohydrates, protein, and fats, I'm gonna try to explain it to you guys in a way to understand and to utilize it into your diet. Like the percentages, how much you need, based off of your individual needs, and then we can kind of adjust from there if y'all have any questions to further specify it to your individual needs. Okay, so how much do we need? You know, that's always a good question. Saturated fat, like I said, you want to keep it less than 10% of your total daily intake. So that's just something to think about. And then we want to balance our omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. It's something that can be imbalanced, and it does kind of mess up the equilibrium of the body. So the thing with omega-6 is that it's in a lot of processed foods. So we get plenty of omega-6 because we get plenty of processed foods, unfortunately, and we don't get as much omega-3 as we need. So that's something to consider if you know, once you get to that level, because we have bigger fish to fry per se. But once you do get to that level, it's something to just consider. So for fats as a whole, all the different groups of fat, you're recommended to eat 20 to 35% of your daily calorie intake from fat. So that's about a quarter, you can say, of your intake should come from fat. And then, you don't want to overeat on fat because it will store in your body, which is something a lot of us try to avoid. Unless you're someone who's trying to gain weight, then eating more fat will contribute to weight gain over time. And then let's see. The functions of fat in the body are, like I said, energy balance. It helps promote satisfy, like it makes you stay fuller a little bit longer because it is more calorie dense than the other 2 macronutrients. You have some essential fatty acids that only can be received from the diet. So that's why it is important to eat fat as well, because your body cannot produce those specific fatty acids and they're necessary for some chemical processes. And then, texture and flavor. So this is where I really it really clicked for me. We used to get a low-fat ice cream, okay? I'd have a fat ice cream cone every night before or in between supper, and not right before bed. It was kind of like my little buffer, so I could eat a million snacks after I have supper at 7 o'clock. Well, the low-fat ice cream, I was like, oh man, it's just kind of gritty, like the texture's off. But the fat in food actually gives it like a smoothing texture. That's why everything that you eat that's really fatty tastes really good, because the texture is just real smooth and flavorful. It adds a lot of flavor. So that's something to think about. Whenever you're in the store, there's so many labels, it can get confusing. Like, you don't want to buy low-fat butter, Because whenever you're putting butter in food and certain recipes, the fat is serving a purpose, whether it's in the cooking, you know, like sometimes you need fat to do this, that, or, you know, to brown. Like there's multiple things. So like you want to stick with just the basics. No free this, free that, because they're taking out what people like in it. You know, like the low fat ice cream. It's like ice cream needs fat so it can be smooth on the tongue. So like I said, unless you have special needs, try to avoid those things. I feel like they're honey traps because my husband always falls for them. So we had like a thing of low fat butter forever, and when I tell you, like, nothing tasted the same that we used it with, because the fat was serving a purpose that we maybe weren't necessarily aware of. So fat, like I said, is important in your body, in cooking, and just in so many different factors. So let's say you have too little fat in your diet, then they have fat soluble vitamins. You can only absorb them with fat. That's going to be vitamin A, D, E, and K. So you can become deficient in vitamin A, D, E, or K if you're not consuming enough fat. Okay, so that's just something to think about. Like I said, everything serves a purpose. There's no bad guy. Everything is in moderation. Everything works together, and then you have a body in perfect harmony and balance. And then also, once we're finished this, we will go into like all the vitamins and minerals and their roles, because it would blow your mind to just realize all the things these little things are doing in your body. Like I said, just while we're working or sleeping, it's really amazing how resilient the body is and how important the diet is to our overall health. Okay, so let's say that you're eating too much fat. Okay, that can be a problem as well. It can contribute to heart disease, diabetes, inflammation, obesity. So that's just kind of my thought. You want everything to be in balance, nothing out of whack. And it's just important, like I said, to put everything in your diet and just to watch your portions. So my next live, I'm going to do my nutrient needs. If you don't know yours already, we'll go over it then. Or you can go ask AI what your TEE, your total energy expenditure is. And if you have that number, whenever I go over my numbers, we can just plug and play and see how much fat we're supposed to be eating, how much carbs, and how much protein. Just to give ourselves an idea where we know what we're working with and a calorie range, and then our percentages, and then we can just dial down our diet from there to get it to be as ideal as possible for our own particular needs. And then, like I said, we will be going over all the vitamins and minerals. That'll be the next step. And then we'll also go into any diseases or any specific diets that people do need in relation to their overall situation. So I don't know if you guys have any questions, but I'll be happy to answer them. And if you didn't check out my other couple lives, the one on carbohydrates, protein, and Diet 101, those are really good information if you're interested in something like this and you're wanting to make I hate to say the word diet, it is a lifestyle change. It's about every decision that you make when consuming food, whether it's your approach to it, your thought process, or do you have obsessive compulsive thoughts about food and you just can't get it out of your mind until you eat and satisfy that, you know, that thought, because that's not a reason to eat. You know, like, it really is about conquering your mind first and then your body. It all goes hand in hand. You can play mind games with yourself all you want, but if you're trying to lose weight and the scale's not moving, or if you're trying to gain weight and the scale's not moving, or if you're trying to keep the scale from moving and it's moving, then something is not going on right. You know, your implementation is not working, and it could be just one small little tweak. You know, it could be like, oh wait, I'm having too many cups of coffee a day, and that's what's putting my calories over the edge. It's really not about being ignorant, it's about being educated. You want to be educated and understand, because that is the main thing. Knowledge is power, you know? So, I hope I could help anyone. You know, if I can help one person, then that's all I'm here for. I graduated in nutrition and dietetics. I have a bachelor's degree in allied health care profession, and I also did a 1.5 year internship in dietetics. So it is something that I do have a lot of information about, and I just wanted to share it with you guys now that we're all realizing, like, hey, we can make ourselves healthy. Like, no one's gonna do it for you. You can't sit around and just wait for things to change or get better. The only thing I can say that we have in our favor now is that everything we buy is smaller, so we're eating less calories in that aspect. You might be paying as much for it or even more, but like, for instance, a Whopper Junior, like a Whopper Junior used to be the size of your hand. Now it's like little tiny. So if anything, that's been a plus. With serving sizes have gone down, because if you remember 10 years ago, serving sizes were like super size, like out of control. Like, we had more food than we knew what to do with, which was a blessing. You know, we didn't realize at the time, but food is a very consistent expense. You have to eat every day, and it's hard to find a meal for less than $10. And like, even if it's not a good meal, if it's fast food, and it's very discouraging. But we're gonna be optimistic together and look at that as like, hey, we're getting smaller portions at Burger King, so less calories in that aspect. But yeah, so if anyone has questions about what we covered today, please let me know. Or if you have any specific concerns that you are trying to tackle in your diet, because it can be tough to understand what you need to do, where to start, where your diet's lacking, where it's strong. You know, like, there's so many different aspects and so many different variables. Also, your mental approach to food. You are in control. You are not a victim to your own eating circumstances. So you have to take accountability. Stop playing mind games with yourself, because I did it forever, and it's so easy to do. And then you get really discouraged because you feel like there's no hope. And you don't want to do that to yourself. You want to set yourself up for success. You want to have the You guys have a great Monday, and I'll be back later this week so we can go over how to put all this together.